a 225 deadlift for men, 155 for women, is a moderate to heavy deadlift. And doing that many reps of that, that's a test of strength. Doing that many dumbbell snatches, 12 around, you were probably stopping more so because your lungs were burning, not because you were unable to pull the dumbbell off the ground. So yes, there is overlap movement pattern, but it's not the same test. It's not the same workout. What's up, team? So I wanted to address what I've seen floating around for some people, that 22.1 and 22.2 were the same exact workout and the same test because they had overlap in sort of three movement patterns. So the criticism I've heard is they both required you to press yourself off the ground from the wall walk and then the burpee. They both required you to jump with the box jump over and the burpee. And then they both required you to pull something off the ground with the deadlift and the dumbbell snatch. So granted, there is some overlap there. There's also overlap in that those are both higher rep workouts. But beyond those two things, there is some pretty significant differences. And I'm assuming that most people, after doing both of those, would not say they were limited by the same exact thing. I don't think anyone was limited by their inability to press themselves off the ground. I don't think anyone was limited in their ability to jump over the bar in the bar facing burpee. So saying that jumping is in both of them, like yes, literally jumping is in both of them, but your ability to jump on top of that box in 22.1 was a much more significant factor in the workout than your ability to jump over the bar in 22.2. Like no one was unable to complete the workout because they couldn't jump over the bar, especially with this, the standard of sort of the feet not needing to be a 2-foot takeoff. What people were limited by on 22.2 was their strength. I don't think anyone was limited in 22.1 by their strength, right? It was really a test of cardiorespiratory endurance and stamina in terms of, can you keep going? Do you have overhead stability for the wall walks? Most people, 3 wall walks at a time. I liked it. It made it accessible. It made it doable so that people wouldn't just be laying on the floor like they were in 21.1. But yeah, you still had to have good shoulder strength and shoulder stamina to keep those going into the later rounds. But the main thing limiting people was their breathing, their lungs. Like, were they conditioned well enough? Now, obviously, 22.2, there was still a pretty significant conditioning element, but the main thing that stopped people, the thing that stopped people from finishing the workout or doing as well as they would have hoped, myself included, was their strength. If that 225-pound deadlift was heavy for you, it didn't matter how good you were at burpees. Like, the burpees were fine for me. It was how heavy that barbell felt into the higher rep rounds and then on the way back down. So if you didn't have a high level of strength, whether it's a high 1 rep max, and that's the other thing is like, sure, someone who has a super high 1 rep max, like the Buttery Bros did their video with Juji Mufu or whatever his name is, and it's not like he finished. Like he said, the deadlifts were easy for him, but he's not as conditioned. So there is still a conditioning element. But I would say for the general population, a 225 deadlift for men, 155 for women, is a moderate to heavy deadlift.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? What?
And doing that many reps of that, that's a test of strength. Doing that many dumbbell snatches, so let's say you 12 around, you were probably stopping more so because your lungs were burning, not because you were unable to pull the dumbbell off the ground. So yes, there is overlap movement pattern, but it's not the same test. It's not the same workout. And so, you also have there's a different time domain. 22.1 is a medium time domain. It was 15 minutes. 22.2 is a short time domain. It was under 10 minutes. You either finished or you stopped at 10 minutes. So it was 10 minutes or less. Okay, so those are two different time domains. the load, like I've kind of hammered that already. Very different loading, very different test in that capacity. Like, yeah, your stamina versus your strength, like overhead stability. Like the thing on the wall walk wasn't whether you could push yourself off the ground. It was whether you could stabilize yourself in a overhead position, whether you could get all the way into that line and back out. The thing with the burpee, it's not about whether you can push yourself off the ground again, it's whether you can keep moving your stamina. So the wall walk is a test of shoulder strength, where the burpee is a test of cardiorespiratory endurance and stamina. Again, different. Yes, they have similar overlapping movement patterns, but they're not testing the same thing. So yeah, the dumbbell snatch, similar movement pattern to a deadlift, not testing the same thing. Box jump over, like the jumping over the bar for the burpee is a formality. No one was stopped in their tracks because they couldn't jump over the bar in the burpee because they physically couldn't jump high enough. They were stopped in their tracks because burpees had their lungs super burned, and they were trying to maybe save energy for the deadlifts, like, again, because they needed that strength. So, like, yes, there's overlapping movement patterns. No, 22.1 and 22.2 were not the same workout. They tested different things, and I think it's needed to be said, although I don't have tons of followers or anything. I think it's important that, people understand that, there are people out there, me, who disagree with the people saying that there is no difference between 22.1 and 22.2. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think that just because there are some similar movement patterns that it means they were the same test? Or did you go through both of those workouts and feel very different at the end of them and feel limited by different things? Because if you felt limited by different things, then just because there was overlapping movement patterns, then you probably understand that they were not the same test and not the same workout. So that's it. That's all I've got for today. Talk to you guys later.